When you're just starting out as a photographer, buying gear can be very overwhelming. There's a lot of options out there. It's very expensive, so it can become a lot really quick. But honestly, you really only need a few cheap and inexpensive things to get yourself started as a photographer. So in this video, I'm gonna show you a cheap little starter kit, nothing too expensive, just something to get you started the right way. And trust me, these will all make a big difference in your photography or your workflow in general. And there's no particular order. This isn't the order that I would specifically buy them in. These are just 5 things that I would recommend to any beginner who's starting out and is looking to pick up some gear. So number 1 is going to be a tripod. This is a very small tripod. It does expand, but this was one of the first tripods I bought on Amazon. I actually think it was like $10. And is it great? No. Does it do the job and keep my camera steady when I need it to? Yeah, it does. And that's the point. And the reason I say you should get a tripod is because there are certain types of photos that you just cannot take handheld, like long exposures. And what I would suggest is get a cheap tripod. And once you get used to it and find out what you like, what you don't like, you can then pick up another tripod. For example, when I started taking a lot of photos at night, I did get a much more expensive and durable tripod. But when I was first starting out and learning how to use it, this $10 tripod worked perfectly. So you don't have to go and buy a $300 tripod right away. You can get a cheaper option and then upgrade in the future if you decide to do so. Number 2, a good camera bag. So this is really personal preference on what types of photos you're doing or what environment you live in. But a solid camera bag is definitely a game changer because not only does it actually protect your equipment, you're spending a lot of money on valuable equipment that you want to last for a long time, and it's typically very delicate, but you want a bag that's comfortable because if your camera is hard to bring around and it's bulky because you don't have a good bag to bring it in, you're not going to want to bring it anywhere. The best camera bag is going to be the one that you're comfortable. If you're going on a hike and you're comfortable wearing it for hours, or if you're on a long shoot, you want something that's gonna be easy to bring around. This is my personal camera bag. I also bought it on Amazon. It opens up at the top, so I can store some things like food or other items in the top part, and the camera actually goes in the back. I was doing a lot of traveling, so while it's on my back, nobody can take things out of the front because this part is pressed up against your back, and this is where the camera and all my lenses are held. Also has water bottle holders and a tripod holder on the side, super clutch. Also, when I'm going out for maybe a longer day, I do have another lightweight camera bag. This one is a lot smaller, but it's a lot lighter and easier to bring around if I don't want to bring all of my gear and I'm just bringing maybe one lens and my camera. I'm not bringing everything I own. So when I'm looking for a lighter option, this is my go-to. When I'm on a big shoot and I need to bring a lot of gear, this is my go-to. But it really doesn't matter. Pick the bag that works the best for you. It's just you need a good bag to protect your gear and allow you to easily bring all of your gear to the locations that you're going. And number 3 is ideally going to be one good lens. So this is a whole topic on its own. I won't go into it, but you don't need a ton of expensive lenses to get started in photography. But ideally one good lens that is good for either everything if you're still not sure kind of what you're planning on taking a lot of photos of and you're still experimenting, or if you really know what your niche is, for example, landscape photography, make sure you have one good lens that's going to be wide enough to get a lot of landscapes. If you're really doing corporate headshots or portraits and that's all you want to do, maybe pick up like a prime lens, or if you really want to get into sports photography, pick up a zoom lens. It doesn't really matter. Make sure you have one good lens that you can rely on and count on. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars on 5 different lenses, but investing in one good piece of glass is definitely something I would recommend. Number 4 is going to be storage backup. This is a 1 terabyte external hard drive. It wasn't too expensive when I bought it. I believe with AI and all that crap, prices are definitely going up, but being able to back up your most important photos is really, really important because you don't want to lose years of photos or client work, for example. Personally, for my most important projects, I like to back them up both physically and digitally in one of my cloud softwares, Google Drive or iCloud, things like that. But being able to back up your photos is really essential because I have had times where luckily I had backups of my photos and then either my computer crashed or something like that, and you lose a lot of work, a lot of hours or special moments. If you're shooting a wedding, you don't want to lose those wedding photos before you deliver them to the client, of course, or even just travel memories. Everything is on here, but it's also backed up in the cloud for me. So definitely whatever route you decide to take, it's very important to just have a backup system so you can keep your data safe. And number 5, the last thing I think is very important for a lot of of photographers is an editing software. And hear me out, don't freak out. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't even have to spend any money on an editing software, to be honest. Just have access to one. Personally, I like using Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop. I don't use Photoshop as much, but Adobe Lightroom is key for me. And not everybody loves to over edit their photos, and that's fine. That's completely a personal choice, an artistic choice, whatever style you like. But being able to adjust colors, contrast, lighting, even slightly is a game changer. And one thing a lot of people think, editing your photos isn't cheating, it's finishing a photo. It's part of the creative process. So if you don't want to edit, that's fine, but being able to understand the editing process and how to find your own style through post-processing and kind of really understand how different settings affect your editing process after, and the dynamic range of photos, for example, shooting RAW versus JPEG, things like that. It's really key to have an editing software. And if you're still not sure which one to go for, you can always start free trials. A ton of them have free trials, or even just use the editing app on your phone if you have like an iPhone or your Photos app. It's not great, and definitely if it's something you're gonna be using on the daily, you should upgrade to a different option. But at least at the start, it gets you used to editing your photos and finding the style that you want to go for. So the reason I'm making this video is because there's a lot of things you don't need. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars on camera gear, like 2 different cameras or expensive lenses or even expensive lighting setups. That was something I considered adding in this video, is lighting. And I mean, of course, if you're gonna be in a studio and you're really kind of going for certain types, investing in a good piece of lighting equipment is definitely key. But when you're first starting out, you can use natural lighting. I used like a lamp and a window for years before I wanted to invest in some lighting. So that's kind of the reason I didn't add that in there, something to keep in mind. But all that to say, if you have a tripod, a good camera bag, at least one good lens that suits your style, somewhere to back up your photos and somewhere to edit your photos, then you're fully set and you can start taking photos and even start a photography business with these few things. And honestly, you can get all of these for less than like 100, 150 bucks if you really want to go the budget route. So it's not a big investment, but all 5 things that I mentioned here are actually going to improve your photos or your workflow and make a big difference in the long run, trust me. So that's going to be it for today. If you're just getting into photography and you're a beginner, I make a lot of videos kind of aimed at beginners and trying to help them, because I was a beginner once myself. I'm still learning every day. So anything that I can share with you to help you on your journey, it is my absolute pleasure to do so. If you like this video, please check out my other videos or check out my Instagram account at The Sneaky Lens. And I have all my photography and other short related content there. So please check that out. It would mean the world to me. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.